One.
Welcome to the Bird Gang Nation Sports Media Show, repping the greatest team of all time. Let's go! Bird Gang 31, he be the host with the most. We going deep, burning teams. They ain't nothing but toast. It's in your rest there. Sirianni put me in coach, running like Miles Sanders till I bumped my head on the post. Touchdown! Yeah, that's coming. Devontae's crazy route running. Jalen hurting them, throwing lasers to Rager, young gunning. Come on! On the D side, we ride, sack him with Fletcher, lay him out on the stretcher. No one can protect you. Watch Darius lay him, shutting down your routes. Come on! In my green John, eating Philly cheesesteaks. Put up your cups, wings up, if you can relate. Tailgating at the link like Gangsta Stride. To the Bird Gang Nation, that's worldwide. On Sundays, catch the pre and post game. Mondays is Birds on Broad Street with Philly Notion and Cool Cat, the man in motion. And Wednesdays, the midweek special got you open with JC from Eagles Talk, hitting like B-Dog, baby.
Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31. Today, Nation, we have a very special guest in the house. It's my boy back again, Mr. Darius Dalton. How you doing today, my guy?
Back at it again, man, and it's honestly a great time, great new year to start off. You're talking about Eagles clinching the playoffs. To start off the new year, we're making it happen now.
Right? It's been a while since you've been on here. I think last time you came on here, we weren't looking as good. You know, we weren't looking so good the first time around.
Last time.
But yeah, we definitely got our act together, and now we are in that playoffs, man. So tell me, how was this journey for you, watching the Birds battle back to get to the playoffs?
Yeah, honestly, it's been a phenomenal experience to watch with this new look staff, young quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and just a whole different mindset of this team being able to finally find its identity and to really put out and show out the second half of the season. It was a rough start. I think that we were kind of going a bit off script and not necessarily playing to our strengths, and I think we're still trying to find ourselves. Glad that the schedule worked in our favor as well because, we got all them teams out the way. You're talking about the Chiefs, Buccaneers, Cowboys were hot to start off the year as well. Niners are looking good. So, it was a very tough schedule for such a brand new looking team, so I felt like it was coming off of last year being 4-11-1, and then we're starting off this year 2-5. It gives us that it's hard for us to maintain being so bad for consecutive years, consecutive seasons, and I think everybody was just so traumatized from 4-11-1 last year that this 2-5 start was just really having us run rampant and going crazy about it. It's just like, damn, we're gonna sit here and watch another terrible year. But Sirianni, after his flowers speech, man, he earned his flowers after that because them boys took off and 7-2 the last 9 games, and here we are in the playoffs now.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir, man. All these guys deserve their flowers, man. Jalen, Sirianni, this whole team, man. Everybody deserved their job back next year. That's for sure, man. They did something that a lot of people didn't expect. Like I said earlier, everybody was jumping off ship when they seen that 2-5. But you just had to stay the course, man. Those were just some really tough opponents that we went against early in the season. Now that we're back, we had a lighter schedule at the end of there. So we definitely made up ground there. But it feels good, man. Like knowing the fact that we're in the playoffs. It's not like we waited to week 18 to figure this out. We are there right now, week 17, clinched, locked, and loaded, man. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it was able to really be definitely a big time relief. That the fact that we was able to clinch before the last week of the season. I know that the last several times for the Eagles making the playoffs, I believe back in 2018 and 2019, we were literally waiting until week 17, last game of the season, to clinch that playoff spot. So the fact that we've been able to actually already clinch a spot before the season officially ends allow us to have a little bit of leeway now stepping into this final week 18 game and to see, what are we going to be doing. I know that a bunch of our guys got hit with COVID. So I think that, in my opinion, I think that that could be a great excuse to sit most of them starters out and then just, pretty much watch a glorified preseason game this upcoming week.
Yeah, man, that's what I feel like. That's why I was like, do you think, we kind of got a first round bye early for making the playoffs and making it in week 17, not having to worry about this Dallas game. Win or lose, we're in there, do you think it's smart, though, for the team to sit a lot of these players, or do you think they need to keep momentum going into the playoffs?
So I do believe that maybe some certain guys out there that could probably still use a little bit more reps. I would go ahead and play Derek Barnett. I'll play Ryan Kerrigan. I'll go ahead and play Jalen Reagor. Guys that tend to sort of show a little bit of inconsistency that we wanted to see more this year. I do believe that we should definitely play some guys who, to have a little bit more to prove, to really get them revved up for the playoffs. You're talking about guys like Miles Sanders, who's dealing with, that hand injury. That, okay, great, another week for him to go ahead and rest up. And Jalen Hurts, obviously that ankle has been sort of an issue last several weeks, even though he looks like he's getting better and better. But that's just now another week where we don't have to put too much pressure on his ankle. And I do believe that a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who, has to get out the pocket, run around to go ahead and make plays, and is definitely more susceptible to getting hits and injury at that point in time. Whenever you have a chance to rest a quarterback like that, I do believe you take that chance and rest him up. If we do see Jalen Hurts behind center, hopefully it's probably for, a couple series, 2 to 3 series, and that could possibly be it. But for me, the style of quarterback that he is, where, he leaves the pocket a lot to make plays happen, I do believe that if there's an opportunity for us to rest him and not put himself in that position, take full advantage of it. But as for other guys out there that are in the starting lineup that hasn't necessarily shown us much this year, like I was just mentioning, guys like Derek Barnett, Ryan Kerrigan, Jalen Reagor, I would expect to go ahead and see those guys still out there and play on Sunday or Saturday, excuse me.
Yeah, man. Howard definitely needs some more rest. He wasn't 100% healthy this last game, that's for sure.
Jordan Howard,
he definitely
exactly.
So, what do you think you want to see? Do you think we could still win this game without guys like Jalen, Howard, Miles in the game? You probably want to sit guys like Fletch, maybe big play Slay. Some of these key veteran and key starters should probably, take that rest break. But everybody else, you think with the guys that we have left, we can win. Gardner Minshew came in and won for us in that game against the Jets, but it is the Jets compared to the Cowboys. And I do know that Jerry Jones is mad that they lost that last game, so he's going to be starting all those boys out there. So what do you think the outcome is, or do you not really care too much?
By all means, if Dallas wants to play their starters for some, they're not getting the 1 seed. You know what I mean? The 1 seed is already clinched. The road to the Super Bowl through the NFC is going to have to be through Lambeau Field. So, if Dallas wants to just play for pride, go ahead, allow them to play for pride at this point in time. I want to try to play strategically. I do believe Gardner Minshew, he is a quality quarterback that can still go out there and compete. I do believe that we do give those guys, our legit veterans, the Jason Kelsey, the Lane Johnsons, the Fletcher Cox, the Darius Slays, those guys, they do earn, I think that they do earn with their age and their experience, that they do earn that week 18 bye week rest. Those are pivotal guys that you need to have in that lineup for that playoff game. So those four major names that I mentioned with the Kelsey, Lane, Fletcher Cox, Darius Slay, our leaders on both sides of the ball, for sure. Give them that off day, give them a rest. Maybe even Jordan Mailata as well. I do believe that we're very talented offensive line wise, where we could perhaps see Andre Dillard go back being at left tackle, where he tends to go ahead and play fairly well as we kind of still continue to see him progress. I know that Jordan Mailata has completely owned that position, but Andre Dillard could go out there still play. Landon Dickerson is getting better and better. Nate Herbig, I'm a big Nate Herbig fan as well. So we have a really good quality depth at the offensive line of scrimmage. I think that's going to be able to protect Gardner Minshew and allow him to perhaps put up a solid performance against the Cowboys. Which again, with the Cowboys, it's going to be interesting if they play full throttle against us. And I'm probably going to expect them to beat us. But if they actually decide to pull their starters as well, that game could be a toss-up. We could actually end up winning 10 games this season if they end up, if we see a Cooper Rush out there. I know Dak Prescott. It would be really surprising for me to see Dak Prescott still out there, just because, you talk about a quarterback who I think probably still feeling the effect of that massive leg injury from last year, where, why risk it? You can't get the number 1 seed. You already locked the division. You're playing for seeding at that point in time, but, you're not going to be able to. Let's say if Tampa loses and Cowboys win, they have the same record. Tampa has a tiebreaker over Dallas. So the furthest the Cowboys can move up is just moving up to the 3 seed. And so that'll be very interesting. And again, by all means, if Dallas wants to play their starters week 18 and we play our backups, by all means, let them, because I'd rather play the safe game and play the strategic game and have them prepped up, patch up for the wild card game, as opposed to risking anything else stepping into that wild card game.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, man. Before we get into that wild card game and who you want to see us play, let's talk about some awards here. Jalen Hurts, ended up a Pro Bowl alternate. Do you think that that's well deserved for him? And then the B part of that question is, what about Nick Sirianni? Do you think this guy has any chance of winning, Coach of the Year?
So with Jalen Hurts being able to become a Pro Bowl alternate, and honestly, it's just a lot of accomplishments that he was able to do. You're talking about breaking a franchise record with the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback, leading the team to the postseason, his first full season as a starter as well. Jalen Hurts has definitely, I believe, earned his rights to be the quarterback for 2022. I do believe that another solid offseason, a good offseason by the front office, we're able to get a lot of money back, perhaps sign some key free agents. I think get a nice, big physical wide receiver as well, because we do have a lot of small wide receivers with Jalen Reagor, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. I would like to see a more of a solidified, bigger target out there. Obviously, we have a 3 first-round picks, so I think that us being able to add more to the team this offseason, after coming off of a rebuilding year that we still made the playoffs led by Jalen Hurts, that could really catapult Jalen Hurts and really solidifying him as the franchise quarterback for this organization after next year. So it's definitely a big-time moment that we've seen from him. I think that I was most impressed from the way he responded back after that Giants game. Back in November. Yeah, back in November when we lost to the Giants. Everything was up in the air at that point in time. Yeah, Gardner Minshew coming in and looking good, even though it was against the Jets at that point in time. Though it was just like, well, we saw a good quarterback play against the Jets, and Jalen Hurts couldn't even do this against the Giants. And the Giants were just as bad, you know what I mean? But the way how Jalen Hurts was able to step back in against Washington, had a little bit of a slow start a couple weeks ago, but then was able to bounce back, win these last, 3 games for us with him behind center. It's been a great story, and I think that we have seen him truly develop in person, in front of our faces, right in front of our very own eyes. And what I've learned, for me personally as a fan and an observer from Jalen Hurts, is patience, man. Patience when it comes to this kid. Again, stepping back, realizing this is his first full season as a starter, and everything that he was able to overcome and accomplish. It's been these are franchise quarterback traits where he's answering your questions. He's answering the questions that we continue to have, and he's still answering them. As for Nick Sirianni, getting Coach of the Year, absolutely, that should definitely be a consideration, because last time I checked, experts and all these analysts were saying that we would have one of the worst rosters in the NFL, predicting a 3-4 win team. You know, Jalen Hurts is not necessarily a real quarterback. Nick Sirianni, he worked with everybody's strength, including and especially Jalen Hurts. And so that definitely should be a consideration for Coach of the Year. I think Nick Sirianni's in-game adjustment as well is definitely impressive, where I use that to defer from Doug Peterson. And I love Doug Peterson. And I think that Nick Sirianni still has, some ways to go in order to achieve what Doug Peterson was able to ultimately achieve for us. However, one thing that stood out to me was his second half adjustments. He's able to adapt during the game, and we're seeing definitely some quality traits you want to see with your head coach, where moving forward he's able to still adjust in game, and we're able to become a strong second half team like we've been doing this second half of the season. That is one of the best traits I believe you could have in a head coach, and I do believe that is definitely Coach of the Year consideration.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Nick's definitely done his job, and that's why I kind of want to win this, 10th game, you know what I'm saying? Because the last time we won 10 games was that Super Bowl year. And you can even take none of the years after that, or even a couple of years before that, we ain't had 10 wins in a single season like that, So that's why I'm kind of pushing for us to go ahead and get that W. Plus, I said I wanted the floor to be 10-7 because I didn't think Jalen would lose more than 7 games his first year. So, yeah, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a little bit, we have our own little personal reasons why I would love to see us be 10-7. I would love to see us have 10 wins to bounce back after that 4-win season last year. So I personally want that 10th win as well. But obviously, looking at the grand scheme of things, a big picture, it's just like obviously we would all have to bite our tongue and understand why we would not need to play our starters on Saturday.
So with this playoffs coming up, who do you want to see us play the most that first round?
All right, so obviously the possibilities will be either Tampa, Dallas, or Los Angeles. So I'm going to give you an order in particular. One, I would like to go ahead and see Matthew Stafford first. I do believe that the Eagles, they do challenge Sean McVay. We do have a good track record on coming in LA and beating Sean McVay in LA. Matthew Stafford is a quarterback who his playoff experiences haven't been working well at all. I don't believe that he hasn't had a playoff win, and he tends to he's been kind of looking a little bit up and down as of the last few months as well. So maybe teams are starting to crack in on that. And the Rams' rush defense, I believe, as well, is definitely vulnerable, and that's our strongest trait, is that rushing attack as well. So you're talking about sort of a veteran quarterback who doesn't have he doesn't have a good postseason track record at all against also a very vulnerable rush defense. I believe that plays to our strength. The second team I'd like to play would obviously be Dallas, just because we have a good observation on them. That's our division, and we're able to really actually see them play with our scripted playbook that we finally have, as opposed to the week 3 playbook that we were having at the time, where we were just trying to play that pretty finesse football. And they're already a team that plays finesse football as it is. And I don't think that these are the teams that you could really try to outplay with that finesse style of play. I believe that you really have to put your knuckles in the dirt and start punching these teams in the mouth. So I do believe that if our style of play, we could punch Dallas in the mouth, we could start disrupting them. And then the last team I would like to play, it would be Tom Brady and the Bucs, just because the media itself, all right, the media itself. And here's the thing, Tom Brady's like Michael Jordan, where everything is personal to them. They take that personally, and they go out there and they perform. What the media will do when we play Tom Brady in the wild card round, they will talk about Super Bowl 52. They will talk about it through the roof, saying the last time the Eagles played Tom Brady in the playoffs was in the Super Bowl, and they beat him. And they will for sure remind him all throughout that week. And I would not want to go ahead and hear Tom Brady on how he puts up a great performance and say, yeah, all week I kept hearing about how I lost them in the Super Bowl. And so, I took that personal and had to come out and play and win this game. So that's my own personal reason why I would not want to see Tom Brady just yet in the wild card round. Maybe an NFC Championship game. Wild card round, that's too early to see Tom Brady. But yeah, I believe Rams first, Dallas second, Tampa third.
Yeah, for me, I want Tom first, right off the jump.
Really?
I want Brady right now, Super Bowl champions, first round, knock these boys out, send them home. They're beat up. That's really the real reason. You got to look at it now. Brown just walked off the field last week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
he's
done.
done for their team. You got Godwin's injured. You got Fournette's injured. You know what I'm saying? You got all these top players injured, so you're going to be playing them at their weakest moment. I don't want to give them time to get some of these guys back on the roster in case we do have to play them later on. I want to play them right now, first round of playoffs. Go ahead and knock these boys out because, like you said, the Rams, I feel like it's more of a finesse team. You know what I'm saying? And this Matt for Stafford, he ain't never went nowhere productive in his life. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been on Detroit that whole time. So I don't see him doing anything too impressive in this playoffs. Plus, they lost what's his name, Woods, which I think was a bigger piece than most people think. But they do
Yeah.
have Odell Beckham starting to come alive over there. So they'll probably be second. And then, like, what's the other one? The Cardinals. Because even though they beat the Cowboys just last week, the Cardinals lost a lot of games in a row. Like, they were like on a 3-game losing streak or something like that. So it's like, those are my 3 teams. I feel like the Cardinals would be a good storyline. Zach Ertz against Philly again, in the playoffs. That'd be something. Really, every game you could probably punch up to being good storylines coming into this wild card week. But I definitely want to get a team that I think we have a really good shot at beating. And I would think the best team right now would be Tampa Bay. You know what I'm saying? Just because they're injuries, don't let those guys get healthy. You play them in an NFC championship, they get all their guys back. Now you're looking at a tougher game. Even though I thought we should have beat Tampa Bay earlier in the season, we ran the ball. That was during a period of time. See, a lot of people always criticize our team and say, "Oh, but who'd you beat? Who'd you beat?" It's like some of the teams we beat all these teams, the good teams. Like Dallas lost to the Broncos, the Saints and whatnot, like teams like that, and we beat those guys. So, and then if you look at all those games, like Tampa Bay, the Chargers, those are all games that we lost to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We beat ourselves in those games as opposed to them actually beating us physically on the board. So I'm down, man. I think we really can beat anybody in this playoff. There's not one team that I'm really even worried about. Maybe Green Bay, but Green Bay still has areas and holes that I feel like we can exploit. And being a number 1 rush team with a top 10 defense, that's what really wins championships in the NFL.
Yeah, I do believe that our formula of football is what helps you succeed in the cold months, in the Decembers and Januaries, which is running the football and really beating these teams up in the cold weather and winning at the line of scrimmage. I believe that our defensive line will need to definitely start stepping up as well. Josh Sweat has ended off the season on a high note. I was a bit scared, but then he stepped up and shut me up. So it's good to see Josh Sweat to start standing out and becoming that solidified defensive end for us. Derek Barnett, Ryan Kerrigan, they've been disappointing pass rushers, and that's why I would love to see them play this Saturday just to see something, get them in a groove, because we need these guys to step up. We spent a lot of money on this defensive line. Javon Hargrave, he's been great this year. Fletcher Cox, he'd be in and out, but, Fletcher Cox still gets the respect that he's going to get. Milton Williams, that young buck, he's trying to go ahead and make a name for his own. But I do believe our emphasis on the line of scrimmage on both offensive line and defensive line is a formula that could actually win you games in January, that could win you playoff games. So, when it comes to playing Tampa Bay, you're right about that. They still have, guys like Mike Evans out there running routes. Scott Miller's a good wide receiver. Gronk, O.J. Howard, Giovanni Bernard, Ronald Jones. So, they stacked that team up pretty well. However, nowhere near as threatening when you have Antonio Brown and Leonard Fournette in the backfield. So, definitely would be a chance to take advantage of their take advantage of the players that they don't currently have right now. And like I said, when we played Tampa Bay earlier this year on that Thursday night game, we weren't playing to our strength. So it would be nice to actually see what we would be looking like playing to our strength, committing to that run against these teams like the Cowboys, against these teams like the Cardinals, against these teams like Tampa Bay, against these teams like the Rams, playing to our actual strength and showcase that we are that number 1 rushing attack team, and see how much that could actually help us win and take over a game and keep their offenses off the field and rest our defense and so on and so forth. So it's a good formula that we have right now, good foundation, and it's going to be up to, I believe, also Jalen Hurts to now step up. You've been seeing him stepping up and making some throws now. Each week you're starting to see more clips of him making impressive throws, and that's exactly going to be some of the throws that he's going to need to make in the postseason as well. So you add on to Jalen Hurts progressing as a passer, plus his number 1 rushing attack, you're looking at a whole dynamic offense with a much improved defense coming along the way.
Now, man, do you think that this run attack can take us to the ball, man? That's another question we got for you. Do you think it's good enough? Do you believe in the old school football method that the running game can lead you to the playoffs? And do you think that we passed a lot, we ran a lot less with Jalen, to save his ankle and to save it for the playoffs? So, and to show people that we can score touchdowns in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, my thing is this. When you make the playoffs, you can talk about Super Bowl. I don't mind talking about Super Bowl right now. We won the Super Bowl. We're in the playoffs. We're in the run to go ahead and try to get that second ring. So I don't mind talking Super Bowl right now. And how can this 2021 team actually make a Super Bowl run? Newsflash for everybody. In 2017, we lost our MVP quarterback and had a backup Foles coming in. But what kept the offense moving was because we were the third rushing attack in the NFL. We had LeGarrette Blount running at you, Ajayi, Corey Clement. We were running. That set the tone in the playoffs for us. That set the tone in the NFC Championship game. That set the tone in the Super Bowl especially. We had like over 150 yards rushing against the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and that allowed Nick Foles to start airing it out. So, yes, absolutely. This is a formula that could definitely make a Super Bowl push, a Super Bowl run, period. 49ers did it a couple years ago with Jimmy Garoppolo running all the way up. That NFC Championship game, he only threw the ball 8 times. So, yes, running the football is still very relevant to this day. You those classic sayings, you win the game in the trenches, stuff that you hear back in the 1960s and 70s, they still occur here in 2020s, okay? So, yes, you win the game in the trenches. Run the football is one of the key formulas that you want to have in order to make a Super Bowl run. With Jalen Hurts and getting him rest up, I do believe that the Eagles started to play a little bit more reserved, and we're monitoring that ankle, and that's why this Saturday now, us already clinching is huge. It's bigger than ever because we're going to need a little bit more running from Jalen Hurts for sure, because he definitely adds a lot more spark and dynamic to the offense with him running the football like that. So, yeah, I do believe that I like the way we were able to handle Jalen Hurts ever since he came back from his injury, and then resting him on Saturday will be really more beneficial than anything else as we prepare for this wild card round.
Yeah, man, that's why I called it the unexpected bye week, baby. We got it.
Unexpected bye week.
We got it. You know what I'm saying? What do you think? Are you more on the board with seeing Jalen pass more, or do you like the complete balance where he gets to show both skill sets? Because I'm on board. Like, I want to see Jalen run. Like you said, I want to see him running in this playoff. Don't turn to this guy that thinks he has to pass the ball, every single down to win over the fans or whatnot. You got to continue to be what got you in the NFL, and that's a through-threat quarterback. That's someone that's going to go out there, pass when he needs to pass, run when he needs to run, and do both and don't hesitate in either one of them.
Absolutely. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles should definitely take note and learn from Seattle, because Seattle evidently ruined Russell Wilson now. And what I mean by that is Seattle, they were run heavy with beast mode, that rushing attack, his first several years there, and that allowed Russell Wilson to progress as a prolific passer. But they lost beast mode and they started losing their team to the point in time where it was only just Russell Wilson out there with no offensive line. And then, they had some weapons out there, drafted DK Metcalf, but that was kind of just it. I don't want to go ahead and completely put the entire game on Jalen Hurts. I love a balanced rushing attack. I do believe that we should learn from what Seattle did with Russell Wilson, where be run heavy these next several years to allow Jalen Hurts to progress as a passer. And once Jalen Hurts progresses as a passer, focus on more of a balanced offense. Don't get too caught up with Jalen Hurts passing the ball and being in shotgun formation the whole entire time, just because you see what evidently that happened to Russell Wilson, which they both are the same kind of quarterback. Remember, Russell Wilson was also a third-round pick. It was a mid-round pick, and he was able to progress because early in his career, he had a strong rushing attack, and he was running as well. He was running with those legs. Notice that he's not necessarily running as much anymore as well because the lack of protection, lack of commitment to the running game, and teams are more prepared for that. So I think that we should continue to stay on board, stay on track with this, still commit to this running game this season, next season, maybe the season after this as well, and slowly but surely see Jalen Hurts progress as a passer, however, stick true to what has helped him develop into a prolific passer, because if we still have a top rushing attack while him becoming a top passer, this will be the best offense in the NFL. You know, we're not completely taking away the running game to now just be a sole passing team because he's better passing now. No, we're still being able to be a top rushing team, being able to balance his legs as well, and being able to now use him in the air in the passing game. It's a top offense. So definitely learn from Seattle and still commit to the balance attack.
Yeah, and that passing game, yeah, the things we want to see from Jalen, the only thing it takes for that is time. You know what I'm saying? Like, he needs to see all these defenses. You know, he hasn't seen every defense. You know, he has to go against all these, learn how people are going to play him and whatnot, to the point where his arm's good enough. He threw dimes all year long. You know what I'm saying? But he does need the experience, and that's the only thing. You know, you can't take away experience like you can't, take away the time. All these great quarterbacks took time before they got to the level that they are at now. You know, like you said with Russell Wilson, he got better over time too, but you got to take advantage of him being on his rookie contract where you can go ahead and build around. You know, next year we have 3 first-round picks. We got like $50 to $60 million in cap space.
Yeah, we get that Carson Wentz contract out the way, so that right there is already substantial because that's like $35 million that we're just having to just sit there. Now we get that back,
yeah. So we just need to build this team around and make Jalen be the last thing to worry about. Like, would you be mad if the Philadelphia Eagles either A, went after a quarterback still, or even B, drafted a quarterback in the first 3 rounds?
The only quarterback I'll take will be Aaron Rodgers. That'll be it. That's it. Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is available, then the Eagles are in the NFC Championship game, guaranteed for sure, because that's where Aaron Rodgers will take you. Packers are going to the NFC Championship game every single year. He's dealing with the McNabb syndrome right now by losing every single time he's in the NFC Championship game. However, the fact that you're already there now is just, what do we got to do to make the Super Bowl? So that would be the only exception. The only case that I would go ahead and take would be Aaron Rodgers, because we're starting to see a trend where, when Peyton Manning left the Colts, he was able to bring the Broncos to the Super Bowl several times. Obviously, we'll see with Tom Brady what he did with the Buccaneers. So I do believe that Aaron Rodgers, he fits into that category of that Hall of Fame status, that quality, talented quarterback where he's going to be good. He'll be good in his late 30s and perhaps early 40s. And I believe that those are some good, solid 3 years that you could go ahead and really have with a quarterback like that could really see if we could go win another Super Bowl with him, which the possibility will be really high, especially with him on the roster. You're thinking about guys like Devontae Smith, on how much Devontae Smith will skyrocket with someone like Aaron Rodgers as well, throwing him the ball. But that is the only exception. That's it. That is it. I was on Russell Wilson train until I realized, okay, maybe Russell Wilson is a little bit more tainted now because Seattle's not setting him up for success whatsoever. And Jalen Hurts is obviously progressing more and more, so I'm not even interested in any quarterback prospects this upcoming draft, and anybody else in free agency or any other quarterbacks that could be potentially available. Not interested whatsoever. The only answer I'll go ahead and tell you that I'll be good with is legit A-Rod, and that is just it. You know what I mean? And that possibility is most likely not going to happen. So I'm very satisfied with Jalen Hurts moving forward. I'm very satisfied with Jalen Hurts moving into 2022.
Nice, yeah. And if we got A-Rod, might as well bring, Adams over with him. You know what I'm saying?
Package deal, baby.
What do you think would be the missing pieces? Because we already won going to playoffs. You know what I'm saying? This is a successful season, period. Point blank. Whether we go 1 and out, 2 and out, whatever, it's a win for the season, already. Now, what kind of pieces with all this money we have in free agency, and then what kind of draft picks were you looking at, maybe first round with those first 3 picks, that will really help take this team to the next level next year?
Free agency, Mike Williams. I want Mike Williams from the Chargers. That's a big physical receiver that will be able to play that physical role that Arcega-Whiteside wasn't able to play. He will play that Alshon Jeffrey role that Alshon Jeffrey was whenever he was healthy for the Eagles. And we have a lot of skill guys out there like Devontae Smith, where very quick with his legs, quick with his speed, quick with his routes. Now you could go ahead and you still have Jalen Reagor on the team and, have him now motioning and do whatever stuff that we could go ahead and have Jalen Reagor make some type of impact, and obviously Quez Watkins with his speed. But I believe Mike Williams, or, I know people throw out Allen Robinson. I do believe that he is my ultimate target as far as getting a prominent physical wide receiver here in Philadelphia. Someone to, again, play that Alshon Jeffrey role, but consistently be out there. Draft-wise, I'm big on pass rush. And I like the way our linebackers started stepping up, man. I was about to say linebackers, but Alex Singleton, I felt like started to emerge this year. TJ Edwards, I know Davion Taylor's been banged up, but I've been eager to see Davion Taylor. Maybe a couple edge rushers, perhaps a safety. Maybe a safety could go ahead and be thrown into the mix as well. I do like our cornerbacks. I do, if we could obtain Steven Nelson and Darius Slay for another year, that'd be great. I know that we're working on Zach McPherson to see how he progresses. Maybe a young cornerback. I can see a young cornerback because at the end of the day, Darius Slay is getting older. He is in his 30s, and with Steven Nelson, it is still a 1-year contract, so we're not sure if he's going to be obtainable after this season. So I do believe that defense will be heavy in that first round for me in particular, because we still see a lot of vulnerabilities. Offensively, great offensive line. We have a set of running backs that we could go ahead and still obtain. I like our receivers. Obviously, we have Dallas Goedert as a tight end. The only thing that I would just add would be Mike Williams in free agency or Allen Robinson.
Yeah, or Devontae Adams. That should be the number one.
He's a free agent.
Yes, Devontae Adams. He's gonna be a free agent. Everybody don't think we can get him. They think he's gonna cost too much. But I'm like, we got $50 million. Go make it happen, Howie. Go make it happen.
Absolutely. Hey, go make it happen.
But if A-Rod stays back, he's probably going to stay in Green Bay if A-Rod ends up staying there.
Yeah, I was just eventually they got to get that Jordan Love experience going, though. You know what I mean? Or I don't know if they're just
they tried to this year, but he was garbage when he went in.
Yeah, he might get Jimmy Garoppolo. I remember, Patriots drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, and Tom Brady was just still winning MVPs and winning Super Bowls. That they're just like, bro, there's nothing we can do. This guy's still winning. So, go to San Francisco. So, I'm starting to think more and more that he might end up getting Jimmy Garoppolo the more Aaron Rodgers is playing, because he's still taking these Packers to the number 1 seed and still taking them to the NFC Championship game. And, how do you let that productivity go? Right. How do you let that productivity go? So I'm pretty sure that, they do it again. That's pretty much going to keep Devontae Adams there, because Devontae Adams, he's content being a top wide receiver and winning games. I don't see why he would want to go anywhere else if Aaron Rodgers is still there.
Yeah, and see, that's where I'm at with you. Mike Williams is my number 1 receiver target. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not Adams, obviously Adams number 1. But if no Adams, I'm looking at a Mike Williams, man. And then if not, I don't even want to get anybody else, out of free agency. I want to go ahead and draft one of these young bucks out of college. Because do you feel like this? I feel like Devontae Smith is a great number 1. He's going to get better as time goes on. He's going to improve as a receiver. But I would love to have a big body 1A to, 1B to his 1A. You know what I'm saying? Where he's just as good, just as quality to the team. Number 1 big body receiver like a Drake from USC, or like even Williams from Alabama, or go get Mechie in the 3rd round because he got hurt this year. Bring Mechie in from Alabama because the Alabama boys know how to play football. You know what I'm saying? Do you think Devontae Smith is good enough to let Rager and Quez develop, and wait on the whole receiver spot? Or would you want to really bring in, a top flight receiver?
I do believe that I would like to see Devon, because I do believe that teams probably circle on Devontae Smith already. I do think that he has earned that respect, which kind of focuses him a little bit more in that passing game, and try to have guys like Jalen Reagor and Quez Watkins beat them, which, those guys still got to develop. Those guys still have a long way to go. I do believe that, get a 1A. Cardinals, when they made a Super Bowl, they had Anquan Boldin, Larry Fitzgerald both going after it. Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison was taking over in Indianapolis. Okay, Dallas got the CD Lamb, Amari Cooper game going on, and before Michael Gallup blew his knee, it was Michael Gallup out there. Tampa Bay had the Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Antonio Brown at one point, but obviously they lost them, but that was working for them last year. I do believe that you add that tandem of a 1A, 1B kind of a wide receiver duo to open up the field a lot more. And not only that, imagine how much Dallas Goedert's productivity as a tight end will shoot up now that you're having to be occupied on the outside with a wide receiver on the out on one end and the other one across the field. Now you have someone like Dallas Goedert who will legitimately catapult himself into possibly that top 3 tight end ranking, and we can start seeing that productivity like we were having with Zach Ertz as well. So I do believe that we're legitimately a solid, strong wide receiver away from really being a full-on offensive threat. Our offense is already good now, but it could really, really be a onslaught, just adding that one more weapon on the outside, just so Devontae Smith could get more one-on-one looks, and you can know he could shake up a cornerback with the way he be chopping up in them feet. And obviously Dallas got it with that big body in the middle of the field. He'll be able to go ahead and use that mobility and his size to start working around that as well. So, I'm all for it. Either, Mike Williams, or see if there's going to be a physical receiver out there in the draft that we can get possibly as well. Fine by me, but I'm for it. I'm for it.
What about the running back situation? Are you still on Team Miles Sanders, or do you think Miles get hurt a lot? Because that the fan base starting to split off with that. Some people like Miles getting hurt too much. He's coming up with his last year in his deal. Are you still on like, hey, let's wait and see because we got a special running back? Or, are you like, maybe we should start looking at another running back now? And then part two of that would be Jordan Howard. You see the stinger again. He didn't play too much last week. Do you think Jordan Howard is the right, two back, to be our two back? Or do you want to pick up another running back in general?
Yeah, so Miles Sanders, it's hard for me to cape for a quarterback who couldn't score a running back who couldn't score a touchdown at all this year. The fact that he was not able to get into the end zone at all this year, and it's definitely like, what was going on? What was going on with him even when he was out there on the field? Now, he was starting to come about, but then he also gets nicked up and gets banged up and gets injured like that. So it's hard for me, nowadays, it's hard to really commit to a second contract with the running back that isn't necessarily producing like Alvin Kamara is, that isn't producing like Dalvin Cook is, that isn't producing like Jonathan Taylor, who's shot up this year, or Derrick Henry. You're talking about those massive productivities from those running backs in particular, where you do give them that money. Before Ezekiel Elliott got paid, he was giving the Cowboys a lot of productivity. Miles Sanders, has he still had, like, he hasn't yet have a 1,000-yard season, and I was hoping that this would be the season just because we have the offensive line. We started running the ball heavily. You're thinking that he would definitely be skyrocketing when it comes to these rushing yards, which he started to come about the second half of the season, but then he gets hurt. He ended up getting hurt again, and I'm not on board with bringing another contract in. However, I'm on board with bringing him back in 2022, allow Kenneth Gainwell to develop more. As for Jordan Howard, I think that this should be the last year because 2019 he had that stinger that, we lost him for the second half of the season. And then now, slowing down again this year, especially in crucial times and crucial moments where we need him, probably go for a bruising back in the draft. Go for a bruising back. Go for a nice 6', 225 kind of running back that's just going to go ahead and get you those yards that Jordan Howard was able to get us. So that running back is going to be a running back carousel, I believe. That's how the NFL relatively works, especially with the Eagles at the last several years. It's been a running back carousel. I know Miles Sanders was a bit of a consistent back for us since his rookie year, but now it's starting to really fall off on him to the point in time. It's just like, do you really want to pay him? Do you really want to pay him? Especially not scoring a single touchdown this year and dealing with multiple injuries. It's like, I can't be convinced. That doesn't convince me, So that's where it's at. It's definitely going to be a good observation. I know that Ronald Jones is a free agent as well from Tampa Bay, and he was definitely underused because Leonard Fournette took over. Leonard Fournette took over for the Bucs throughout the whole entire season before he got hurt. But so seeing Ronald Jones, where didn't play that much this year, probably going to see him a lot more these next several weeks, including the playoffs. That'll be a good look to see that, hey, that could be a quality running back that we could bring in that could be hitting them holes hard as well. So yeah, there's options out there. We'll have options.
That's a good one. I didn't even know Ronald Jones was gonna be a free agent. That would be a good 1-2 pairing with Sanders there. That'd be an awesome 1-2 pairing. I like Ronald Jones. I'm surprised they don't use him more over there in Tampa Bay. I know Fournette is that dude, right, but at the same time, Ronald Jones did good that Super Bowl year just as well. So yeah, man. What about Fletcher Cox? What are you doing with Flex? That's the big topic.
Look. My thing is this. I don't know if we can bring back both Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. I think that there's going to be a lot of veterans that we might, I think that Brandon Brooks, he probably has played this is his last season with Philadelphia as well, the way how our offensive line has developed and became one of the top offensive line without Brandon Brooks. So I'm starting to think about what potential veterans that we're going to be letting go. Obviously, the idea of Fletcher Cox is going to be thrown in there as well. I think it's going to be, we're going to have to definitely look at the progression of Milton Williams. We're going to have to start seeing how he's going to progress. I think that the organization is probably going to start talking to him maybe this offseason, and they're probably going to really dig into his tape to start making that full commitment, because if they do let go Fletcher Cox, then we're going to have to look at Milton Williams to really step up and fill in that void. Javon Hargrave is already here with us, and he's established himself. In my opinion, he is the best defensive tackle on this team. Javon Hargrave is. So Fletcher Cox isn't even the best defensive tackle, and so he's getting a lot of money. Fletcher Cox is getting Aaron Donald money. All right, practically Aaron Donald money, but no Aaron Donald productivity. And Aaron Donald faces double teams, triple teams, just as much as Fletcher Cox does as well. But yet we continue to see Aaron Donald all the time. We don't see Fletcher Cox all the time. So that right there is what also business aspect-wise and observation-wise, where I compare two similar players, two defensive tackles that are getting paid the same, but one continues to excel while the other continues to just go in and out. And I'm also adding on the fact that we paid Brandon Graham, and he's coming back from an Achilles injury. You know, I don't want to get too caught up like how we were doing back in 2018 and 2019 when we were holding on to guys like Jason Peters and whatnot to just hold on to them for nostalgic reasons. I as much as we love these players, it's a business. It's a business, and the game always moves forward. The game is always going to move forward, and I think that it's going to be one of the tough decisions, but I don't think that we're going to bring back both Fletcher or Brandon Graham. I think that, you know, one of them is probably going to have to go ahead and dip out. I don't think that we're going to do Brandon Graham like that. I don't think that it's going to be that cold for us to just, all right, Brandon, we just paid you, but you blew out your Achilles, you're in your 30s, so you got to go. I'm not sure. I know that Howie Roseman isn't that reckless, but I do believe that he's perhaps a little bit more open to Fletcher Cox's trade value or trade market.
And what about Brooks? I heard you mention Brooks. Are we bringing Brooks back? And do you think Brooks being healthy for the playoffs, are you inserting him back into that lineup?
No, I'm not bringing Brooks back, and I'm not putting him in that lineup. I think that Brandon Brooks has definitely, he's great productivity when he's out there, but the team takes a massive step back. Offensive line takes a massive step back whenever he goes out there, gets banged up, and then leaves the game. Just like how we kept doing with Jason Peters. We had Jason Peters in the game, then he gets hurt, and our offensive line takes a step back because we have to go ahead and learn to adjust again. I cannot put ourselves in that situation. I don't want to put ourselves in that situation to just cross our fingers and hope that Brandon Brooks is able to stay healthy for us again. That's not the case. We cannot risk that anymore. You know, we got to start really thinking on the aspect of our young guys, seeing the progression of guys like the Nate Herbigs, Landon Dickerson, those guys at the line of scrimmage that continue to develop, why slow that down? Why slow that down? Plus, Isaac Sayamalu is going to be another guy that's going to be coming back from injury. So you're already kind of putting a lot on the offensive line, bringing back two starting offensive line that's coming back from season-ending injuries, evidently. I know Isaac Sayamalu is going to be is more locked in with us just because he's younger and he's going to be able to recover fine. But with Brandon Brooks now getting hurt more and more and more in his 30s, he's the odd one out for me. And it's unfortunate because there's nothing you can do about injuries, but it's like, how much can we sit here and allow that and take that?
Yeah, because I was wondering maybe insert him because he might be an upgrade over, because when Brandon's healthy, he's the best right guard in football. The problem is Brandon hasn't been healthy the last 3 years we had him, But for playoffs, maybe going against some of these bigger and more, experienced teams, maybe it would be good to slide them in there, let them get these 3-4 games in, what I'm saying, before we let them go this offseason. So,
I think I would say this in power formations where we have 6 offensive linemen out there, boom, throw him in there. You know what I mean? Get himself, in there, get a feel for the game again because he hasn't played at all this season, barely
and
played.
It could be good
season.
Trade value or whatever you're going to do with him, in case you want to make a trade with him. If you got man for the playoffs, we go deep into the playoffs. Now you got
boosting up his market. Yeah, you could get, you could get a 4th round pick if he looked really good. You know what I mean? I don't think that teams are going to give us anything teams are not going to give us anything too substantial for a guy with 2 Achilles tears and another injury this season, and he's in his 30s. Teams are not going to be giving us anything But if we show some productivity, I can see, maybe a 2023 fourth round pick, perhaps. I don't know, something like that as a value that we can get back if he steps back in during the playoff run and, has some moments.
Yeah. What about this? T.O. talking to Tampa Bay today. He talked to Tom Brady. He's been out there with Dion and them boys running routes, ready to go. He says, you don't have to need me for a whole season. You only need me for 3-4 games, and I'm out there busting my tail, and everybody can see that I still got it in me. Would you sign? Because I went on his Instagram and I hit him up. I was like, T.O., come back for us for the playoffs. Veteran receiver, a guy that only needs about 15, 20 snaps a game, and help us get over the hump and win that Super Bowl with the Eagles like you tried to do a couple of years back. What would you say to T.O. coming to Philly?
Woo! I mean, T.O.'s been trying to get back into the league the last 10 years. You know what I mean? I feel like we always tend to have this conversation yearly, the annual, hey, will T.O. come back? Will T.O. come back? So, I'll tell you what, it'll be definitely fun. I'll probably drop a little tear if I ever see T.O. in an 81 jersey for the Philadelphia Eagles again, just because, the time that we had him here for that season and a half or so, or however long it was, it was a beautiful thing to see. So maybe for nostalgic purposes, that might be the case. But, it always tends to be a yearly conversation that we have about him that at one point I was serious about it. Then I started to just start, once again, I think it's more maybe marketing purposes. Maybe it's just, to draw attention back into his name again. However, he has a great way of finding his way back into that market and making himself, being talked about. So, I think that it would be entertaining to see T.O. back in the league as always. I mean, it's never entertaining when T.O. is not in the league, or it's never entertaining when T.O. is in the league. It's always entertaining is what I'm just trying to say. I kind of mixed my words there, but
and plus you get the popcorn ready. You know what I'm saying? It's playoff time.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I guarantee you only got to give him a veteran minimum. You won't have to pay him no real money, to come play 4 games. You probably don't. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at probably a couple $100,000.
Yeah, and he'll get playoff incentives as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually think the Eagles should go out there and go talk to him. Why not? Everybody, whenever I do that, you were on here last time. We did the all-time Eagles team. A lot of people all year long put T.O. on that all-time Eagles list, for receiver. So it's like, why not bring one that goes back? We did it to D-Jax. We let D-Jax come back, and he showed us what D-Jax was all about, getting hurt, coming in, getting 200 yards, getting hurt, going back out, coming in, getting 200 yards. The D-Jax game. So why not give a guy like T.O. a chance? He's a big body receiver, and that's what we claim we need on our team is that big body power receiver, and that is T.O. Let him come back for the playoffs. Have Jalen Hurts have another target to go hit at, while you try to make this playoff push.
I'll go ahead and ask you a quick question right now then. Okay, so what if Jeremy Maclin says, hey, look, I kind of want to come back and play right now?
Huh?
Who would be the better option for you? You would say at this point in time, T.O. right now, or let's say Jeremy Maclin wants to come back and play. This is just a throwaway question.
T.O.
You say T.O. still at his age compared to Jeremy Macklin's age?
You know what I'm saying? We got a bunch of Jeremy Maclins on our team. Quez Watkins, all those guys are kind of like that role. Like T.O. is the dominant physical receiver. Like regardless of how old he is, you can't replace his size and his physicality, that he has. You know what I'm saying? And when you go watch his Instagram, man, he's still doing it at this age of 38. He ain't played in some years now, to the point where he stayed in great shape, So, and from the highlights I watched from T.O., man, he looked like he can go out there, he can give you 15 to 20 a game, you know what I'm saying? And like he said, like he even says, because he was talking to announcers, like, you watched me over the last couple of months. You seen what I came out here and done. Like, do you think I can come out there and give something to a team? And they're like, yeah, man, 15, 20 plays a game. Yeah, you're not the starter. We're still going to have, Devontae out there, Quez out there, Rager out there, you know what I'm saying? T.O. would just be that special piece you can come in whenever you need that physical first down, or you want to see him make plays. And who knows, he might shine. T.O., once he get in the game, T.O. does the T.O. thing, you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't mind seeing it'd be a low, cheap, what they say, low risk, high reward type situation. Plus, I felt that year he was robbed of getting that Super Bowl because Donovan Knapp and his Chunky Soup commercial. But I'm just saying that, Chunky Soup commercial contract that he got because all of a sudden he got sick in the middle of the Super Bowl. So That's my opinion on it. You know what I'm saying? I think T.O. had every right to be mad at D. McNabb that year for what he did and losing that chance to win a Super Bowl. So I wouldn't mind breaking him back.
I feel that. I feel that.
What are you grading the whole Dick Sirianni and this offense for the year so far?
You got to give them, I think I mean, piece by piece, period by period. I mean, you would say B plus, B plus, I would say, just because, I would have it in A, but there were quite a few games early on this year that how much better would we have been if we would have really played to our strengths to start off, You're talking about easily perhaps winning that Niners game. I'm looking at that point in time where we could have been up 10-0. We couldn't score into the end zone. We weren't necessarily playing physical football at that point in time where, win over the Niners. That would put us in a good position. How it would have been if we would attack Dallas that game instead of trying to outpass them and, trying to out-finesse them. Even though I think Dallas really exposed us that game, how much better we could have competed against Dallas instead of getting completely embarrassed at that point in time. Even against the Chiefs. Chiefs are not no juggernaut. The Chiefs were still even struggling at that point in time during the season.
They're struggling bad at that time.
So how we could have, how much could we have challenged the Chiefs if we would have played at our strength at that point as well? So I believe that there was a lot of early games that cost us. A lot of early games that could have cost us that, could have pushed us in potential division race. But at that point in time, though, I mean, everything else was great, the way how he was able to recover, adjust, and really shoot out the second half of the season and being able to get us back into the playoffs. So, he's damn near borderline A- for me, but I say B+ just because there were a lot of early games early on this year where it was costly just from his coaching decisions. But again, we accept the fact that he's a rookie head coach. And as a rookie head coach, I'm going to tell you this. For rookie head coach, he had an A+ season. For rookie head coach, A+ season. An overall coach observation, though, without us having the, putting the rookie coach implication on there, I'll say B+. But as for a rookie head coach, A+.
Let's go to the other side of the ball. JG, what grade are you giving him?
Jonathan Gannon, he's going to get a solid B-. C, B-, C+, B-, C+. I say C+.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
I say C+. I know that the defense is I know that the defense is a top 10 defense, and I'm not going to complain about the defense from what they've been able to do as of recent times. But Taylor Haneke, Jake Fromm, Garrett Gilbert, Zach Wilson, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, Matt Ryan. We haven't necessarily, the quarterbacks that we've been able to take advantage of, they're quarterbacks that don't scare us whatsoever. I'm still traumatized by what the hell we made Justin Herbert look like. Now, Justin Herbert's a great quarterback, but, man, we made him look like a Hall of Famer that game. We made Derek Carr look like a Hall of Famer that game. Dak Prescott looked phenomenal when we played against them. You know what I mean? Any type of quality quarterback that we stepped up and played, we got shredded. We got completely shredded, and that's where the concern is just like, okay, so when we play against some quality quarterbacks in the playoffs, what are you going to be looking like, Jonathan Gannon? Because I've already seen what you could do against terrible quarterbacks and below average quarterbacks, but I would like to see the way you're going to scheme up against quality quarterbacks. These quality quarterbacks that you're going to have to go ahead and face. Patrick Mahomes tore us apart, Tom Brady. So you're seeing the significant difference between our wins and the way how the defense performed against each opponent. So that's where I'm going to be at a C. I'm going to give him a C, actually, just because of that. I could only give him so much credit for beating Sam Darnold, who's not even playing right now, for beating Garrett Gilbert, who's a third-string quarterback or practice squad quarterback, for beating Zach Wilson, who is a developing rookie, for beating Jake Fromm.
Too.
Exactly. And Zach Wilson came out firing that first half. And Jake Fromm, who's a third-string practice squad quarterback as well. It's just like Trevor Siemian, backup quarterback. He was a third-string quarterback, I believe, for the Saints. And then Jared Goff, who's already on his second team after being drafted #1 overall pick in 2016. So I can only give him so much credit for beating those kind of guys.
I like the C+. That was good. I won't give him that B-, but I give him that C+. That's
I could have put him in that B. I was like, B's a little bit too cool for me. We'll give him a C+.
Give me your offense and defensive player of the year for the team.
Offensively, I would say Jason Kelce. I think that Jason Kelce is for sure. He for sure continues to show that he's perhaps the best center in the NFL. Captain of the offense, definitely been able to orchestrate that offensive line. He's been the key reasons why this offensive line has been stellar. Where every time the Eagles get going, that offensive line looks good. Jason Kelce continues to be the centerpiece for it. So I'll say Jason Kelce for sure. Jalen Hurts is definitely a runner-up for there just because he's the quarterback of the team. But, I'll say as consistent-wise, we've seen Jason Kelce play consistently well all year. Jalen Hurts, he had to develop still. He wasn't necessarily consistent as he is now towards the end of this year. So Jason Kelce, my offensive player of the year. And defensive player of the year, you got Darius Slay. Darius Slay is definitely my number one choice for defensive player of the year. He definitely became a lockdown corner on his side and made a lot of plays happen for us. A lot of highlighted plays that we've been able to do for the defensive side and been able to be a force to be reckoned with. And so, yeah, Jason Kelce offensively, Darius Slay defensively.
Hey, shout out to the 30 in the chat. Please like and subscribe to Darius, Dalton, and BIRDGANG 31 if you have not subscribed to either one of our channels. All the links are inside the chat. I'm on the road to 2K in my first 7 months, man. I feel good about it. Let's go ahead and get there. We're 100 away. 100 away. So let's go out there and get there. So if you have not subscribed to me, please do so. And like my guy Darius Dalton over here, he got way more than me. He like 20K, right? You on the road to 20K?
On the road to 20K, it was definitely should have been there by the end of this year. But again, my just traveling wise and just moving around wise, it just definitely was just hard and impossible for me to really get myself situated and revved up and prepped up to come on making Eagles content. So we're definitely going to be trying to push for 20K in 2022. Glad to be back on here doing my streams with y'all. Glad to be seeing you again. Glad that we're having a better discussion now as opposed to what we were last time, man, because, last time it was hard. This time, though, we're back, in the playoffs, back in the playoff mix. And, hey, look, let's have some fun this year. Let's have some fun.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun, man. And, guys, give me a score prediction before we get out here for this Cowboy game. Let's just say you got some starters out. So just give me a score prediction in general. Like, give me a score prediction if the Eagles were to win. And give me a real life score prediction since we're probably going to be sitting our starters.
19-10. I think Jake Elliott probably kicks about 4 field goals that game, and we get probably 1 touchdown, maybe a Gardner Minshew passing touchdown or a rushing touchdown. If Cowboys do sit out their starters, then, I do believe that. Like one thing Jonathan Gannon knows how to do and knows how to play, he knows how to scheme up against backup quarterbacks. So if we do see a Cowboys backup quarterback, I do believe that we're going to be flourishing, especially in Philadelphia. The crowd is going to be electrifying regardless because we're back in the playoffs. So I do believe that the atmosphere at the Link is still going to be uplifted, especially being under the bright lights of the Saturday night football. So I do think that we're going to get that home field advantage, a little bit of a playoff atmosphere because we're in the playoffs. And if Cowboys play their backups, Jonathan Gannon plays good against he coaches and schemes well against backup quarterbacks. And Gardner Minshew, he's a quality backup quarterback that could go in there and can move the ball for you. He was able to have his moments in Jacksonville and had his moments against the Jets. So I believe the score of 19-10 will be, or 19-10, 19-13 will be the final score for maybe a glorified preseason game. How about you?
I'm going to say if the Eagles win, it's going to be definitely, it'd be like 21-17, late game, heroic, they're up 17-14. We get that touchdown. Late game heroics, maybe Minshew magic or whatnot to get it. But if we sit in all these guys, Dallas keeps their starters in the whole game, I'll probably look at it more of a score of 28-14 Cowboys. Like
I was about to say 28-14. I literally
real like if they're playing our backup, they better score 28 points or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or they're gonna be in some trouble for the playoffs. But like I said, I think that our backups are good enough to put up some points against their starters. But unless we got everybody like how it is at the end of the season. Sometimes they just have a couple of starters they don't play. If we're in that couple of starters mode, like say like a Jalen Hurts, Miles, Howard on offense, but Devontae plays, and because Devontae's trying to get that rookie record as well. You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to get, I think he's like 20-something yards or something like that. 30 yards away from the rookie record, Deshaun Jackson's rookie record. So if he plays, and then on defense, say you only got like a guy like Fletcher Cox, an older guy, a veteran type guy out, a big play. Well, big play have to play for sure. But like if you only got like 4 or 5 of these starters out, because the COVID list, whatever, they have till Saturday to test negative. So it's still a possibility all those guys can play again. So if we only have like a couple of the key players out for this game, then I think we can win the game. But like if we're going full butt roll, taking advantage of not having to worry about this game at all, sitting all your best players type thing, then yeah, it might not look too pretty.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which either way, it'll be fine. Either way, it'll
Yeah,
be
I don't
fine.
care
We're in the
either way.
playoffs, and
You
we're
know what I'm
good.
saying? Like we in the playoffs, my guy. We're gonna do big things once we hit there, man. But hey,
Playoffs,
shout out to
baby.
my guy Darius Dalton for coming through. Definitely wanted to do some more work with you this off season. Let's get it going on. The network's moving fast. So if you ever think about that, my guy, hit me up. You guys, if you have not subscribed to the BGN Sports Media, we are growing fast. Check out tonight's show. We have Touchdown and Tights first episode. These ladies, one's a Charger fan, one's a Niner fan. They do some great content. Just their first show on the network. So make sure you guys go show some support to them ladies and show them what's up. Show them how we bring it over here on BGN Sports Media. But yeah, Dalton draft. All kind of stuff we got going this offseason. I would love to work with you some more. And, thanks again for coming on the show. Anytime I can have you on, it's a blessing. And I definitely want to see you again next time.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. And like I said, guys, hey, let's get my guy to 2K. Let's get my guy to 2K subscribers. I'm excited for you. I'm glad it's the channel continuing to grow and grow and grow. And we're gonna go ahead and get there, man. And pleasure. Thank you for having me on there. And then I'm looking forward to working with you more and more, especially now that I'm back, more situated, scheduled in, so we can get to go ahead and start doing this more often than not.
Yes, sir. And like I always say at the end of my videos, fly, Eagles, fly. Yeah. Till next time, it's BIRDGANG 31. Darius Dalton, we out. Peace.